Hey, at least we're not late. In the Army, they used to say, if you weren't 10 minutes early, you're late. So, I hated that. Oh, I'm like, what time? You want me to be here at 9? Or do you want me to be here at 8:50? If you want me to be here at 8:50, I'll be here at 8:50, which means I really have to be there at 8:40.
Exactly.
So anyways. Well, hello, everybody. Thanks for joining tonight. My special guest on tonight is David from BubbaNews. And say hello, David.
Hey, how are you guys doing? It's great to see everybody. This is just an honor and a blessing.
Yeah.
And Pete's been having some technical issues, so just heads up. If he has an issue, he told me to keep talking. So get your popcorn.
Yeah. You know it, like my internet's working fine all night, and just about really like 5 or 10 minutes before I got on and started to do this, it's just went wonky. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Well, hey, before we get started, just a quick announcement. So we did settle on a date for myself and L.A. Marzulli, Mondo Gonzalez, Lee Brainerd to do a Nephilim, I just call it monsters discussion on monsters here at the end of October, which was kind of appropriate. But I was shooting for the end of September, but everybody's schedule is so different. So we just kind of picked the date, and then everybody's like, all right, let's do that date. So anyways, that'll be on a Monday night. I don't know if we'll pre-record it. I may pre-record it if I'm going to have these kind of issues. But if we may end up doing it live, or I may pre-record it and then play it for you guys live, and then I'll be in the chat getting to goof around and stuff. So may do that. So anyways,
That'll be really cool, man. Shoot.
Yeah. I sent out an outline to everybody, and everybody's on board with it. I just need to kind of shape it more and kind of, I want to deep dive into things like, how the Nephilim has impacted things here in the 21st century and in the 20th century, and there's just how that ties into modern occultism and how that's shaping society and culture. It's going to be pretty crazy conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh
yeah. Let me. Titus wants me to send him the link to the live stream, so I want to send him the link to the live stream. So, hey, what's going on in the news today, man?
How much time you have, feller? This is going to be a big week. It's going to be a very big week. Man,
it's like where to start.
And I like how Dorothy Adams, I think it was the other week, she's like, it's kind of like when you're at the playground as a kid and the merry-go-round's going around, you're trying to wait for the right time to jump in. So it's
but it's just getting faster and faster, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, from the big Hadida port that they hit again yesterday in Yemen, and then the ground operation going into Lebanon beginning today, apparently, and hitting Damascus tonight. I mean, hitting Sidon. They hit Sidon, which is another big prophecy coming up, I believe, Ezekiel 28. But yeah, this is crazy, and a bunch of people in the Watchman community have been talking about it, and like Watchman River today was talking about, like it feels like the perfect storm, and yeah,
it does, yeah. And I was looking up Damascus, and a couple things on Damascus. One is that the city, from all the fighting, is about 30% destroyed, and then there's
wow.
including in that 30%. I mean, I guess in addition to that 30% is a 50% of the city that's kind of unusable because they don't have working sanitation or water or sewer or anything like that. So, yeah, Sir Pierce, can't even talk tonight. Sir Pierce the Veil wants us to pray before we get going. Let's do that. Let's do that. You and I did it, but let's do it for the.
We prayed, so I thought we prayed right.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank pray that you would meet them where they are, meet their needs, Lord, and I pray that you would just help us to continue to keep them in our thoughts and prayers going forward, Lord. And Lord, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem. We pray for the wisdom for the leadership there to do what they need to do in order to bring that peace about. Pray, Father, that you would just be with the believers on all sides there that are trapped in those war zones. I just pray that you would shelter them and protect them and lead them out of harm's way, Lord, because we know that all life is precious in your eyes. And Lord, we just pray that you would come soon because this world is it's sick, it's dying, and it's in its death throes now. We just pray that um, you would come quickly, Lord, in order that you can restore your kingdom to this earth as the way it was always intended to be. And it's your Son's holy name, in Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Oh yeah. Syria. So Syria is really about half destroyed right now. So that got me thinking about that Isaiah 17 passage, in terms of it, it being destroyed in a single night. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to bring some other things into and then come back to that because then it'll start to make itself clear, I think. But I wrote this in 2011. I used to do these articles called Snapshot of a Moving Picture, and this was 2.0, focused on Israel and the Middle East. And I wrote this is what I wrote in 2011. Lessons learned. In the Middle East, there's an old saying, and if it isn't, it should be. If you want to keep your dictatorial power, it's better to be America's enemy than America's friend. Hosni Mubarak learned that lesson a little too late. What Mubarak should have done in watching Zini al-Abidini flee for his life, he was the prime minister of Tunisia, I believe, was to do likewise. Turkey's Erdogan learned what to do by watching Egypt's military assume control. Bashar al-Assad learned what not to do by watching Mubarak's military and allies throw him under the bus. Gaddafi learned what Gaddafi learned that it would have been better if he'd have just kept his mouth shut. And the Egyptian generals learned what not to do by watching the Islamic radical like Tayyip Erdogan throw the Turkish generals under the bus. Israel is learning that it can't depend on the Obama administration and will either have to go it alone or find new friends. And the rest of the world will learn that by cursing Israel, it will prove to be their undoing. And that's the one thing I knew. And this is what's so surprising to me about Syria is that Bashar al-Assad is still in power. I mean, he got down at one point to he basically was only in control over like a suburb of Damascus. And by 2015, he had the Russians, he had the Iran, both came in and really saved the day. And basically, he's controlling most of Syria, with the exception of the north, and then a little bit of there's an enclave in the south that is still not in his control. But for the rest of the country, he kind of controls it now. And I've found out that they are really on the cusp of a civil war. And I know that seems crazy given.
Did we lose him? I'm still here. On the cusp of a civil war. Yeah, Trey Severs, it really is real tonight. This is crazy town. Wow. Come on, Pete. You can do it. Man, I was just praying for, and it was like the last live stream too, when you were having the issues of Revelation. It's like you started the prayer. Oh, here we go. All right. Well, Pete said he would be right back. So you're on your own, Bubba. Hey, I didn't mean for this to be the Bubba show. Oh my goodness. Yeah, guys, I know Pete's going to come back and continue talking about Syria, but this is crazy town stuff going on. And he's right with the civil war scenario, because Syria wants Turkey out of their areas north of Aleppo. Turkey's like, no, we're not going to do it. And then you've got across the river Euphrates there, or into here he comes back.
Guys, I'm not even on Wi-Fi. My internet is hardwired into the building.
That's what I don't get. He's got the full-on hardwired Ethernet. Oh man, Rapture Head 777. You guys are awesome. Yeah, I know most of you guys have heard about the whole eastern side of Syria with the Kurds that have been helping fight against the Syrian army there, al-Assad. I don't know if they got his brother yesterday, but I think they might have.
Who? Oh, Assad?
Assad's, yeah. I didn't follow up on that story, but they targeted him.
Man, it's crazy over there. And what I've also found out over there is that they're running narcos. They're running drugs.
Oh, dude, that's huge.
I mean, they're not running it; they're making it. They're making this stuff called Capgan or Capgon.
Captagon, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like speed, and that's what
it is. Yep.
That's why them guys are all wired up when they're being suicide bombers and stuff. So
Damascus or Lebanon in the past 6 to 8 months has been shooting down drones that they're trying to fly into Jordan of the drugs, and yeah, they're coming in from direct, even from Venezuela. I was reading. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, his brother, Assad's brother. I thought they got the brother. Jules said they got the brother. Yeah. Because I know that he was part of the fourth something or something like that. Yeah, they're going to start taking out some of. Allison Stolmiller, I think it was this morning in chat. She asked me if they're going to go after the Ayatollah Khomeini next, Israel, because they've been taking out all these other guys. It's possible. And we see how the Mossad did what they did with what's his nuts, not Shucker guy, not that Fuad guy, but the other one, Akil. Man, it's so hard to remember these guys' names half the time. I swear, that was just July 31st, I think, something like that. Yeah, he's freezing again. I don't know what's going on, but. We've been seeing these attacks like technologically, even as on a spiritual realm, I believe, because in these final days, 1 Thessalonians 5:11, encourage one another, even so as you're also doing. And Satan wants to keep that just away from us, because we're gathering together in a blessed hope and in an excitement. And oh man. It's not even winter. It's already freezing. Oh yeah. What's up with that, Mercy Morgan? This week's gonna be big, and Pete wants to talk about some things getting into Israel and stuff. So I don't want to take his fear, his excitement. Oh man, we need to pray. I know, Annette Hamilton. Oh my goodness. Oh man. You guys are great. I feel bad though, because this is Pete's show. This is his gig. I don't want to do the Bubba show. Oh man. Yeah, even tonight. Let's do. I'll just go over some news. Even tonight, the U.S. or Israel was doing these flares above Lebanon, and they were. Oh man, Israel was actually using their white phosphorus down, and. It's legal in a war zone area, like open fields, like they were doing in these mountainous scenarios. A vehicle was targeted in Damascus tonight. They're doing a big media blackout too in Israel lately. I've been noticing the past couple of days for things, because the Iron Dome is starting to miss more and more and more. But Israel has to. We're back.
Oh my goodness, man. I have never had this much problems with the internet.
We're going to have this video, and then we're going to have the Bubba shorts in the middle, and then back to the video. And
Dude, you can make all the shorts that you want out of them. Oh, okay.
I was just trying to tell him what's
hate
been going on lately in
internet.
even the U.S. Announcing sending more F-15s, F-16s to the Middle East today, and those F-15s and 16s were used to shoot down those drones from Iran back on April 13th and 14th. Yeah. So,
yep.
Yeah, get back to Syria.
Oh well, no, I was kind of done with Syria at the moment, but look at I saw this on Rapture Ready News. It says former British commander, no Western military has achieved what Israel has done in the last 2 weeks. And if you read Amir Sarfati's page earlier, he was quoting Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner.
Dude, his post yesterday, I almost shared it. It's intense.
Yeah, go to if you go to my Telegram, it's the last thing posted on there. So
it's good. It's intense. Yeah.
Very, very.
Let's go look at his post. I'm going to pull it up in case you go offline.
He did more in 2 weeks than.
There you are. You're good. Oh, yeah.
They've done more in 2 weeks than the U.S. Intelligence.
Yes, they did. So they've taken out more top dogs in the past 2 weeks than the United States has done in 20 years.
Oh, man.
You're good.
I think I'm just going to sign off and let you do the rest of the night because your internet's working perfect.
Oh, brother. Oh, brother.
This is killing me.
This is crazy. But that's what I was saying when you were gone the last time. It's like we've been noticing this, even like attacks, physical or spiritual and technological. And like the last one in your Revelation one, it was you started praying or something again. It was in the middle of a prayer. That's what happened this time again. Even in the prayer, it was like.
It says Pete your hood now. Oh man. Yeah. You know what's interesting though is somebody was asking about Yellowstone there earlier. But the look at the timing for the UN and when they were condemning Israel and all that, and when Helene hit, which was just in the last couple of days. You know, Friday night, was it Friday? That net
the UN speech Friday, yeah.
There at the UN or Saturday night?
Yeah, Friday. And a bunch of the people walked out. Yeah. We'll keep going. That's crazy. I think Mark's right. Mark Collins, I saw him. He says, it sounds like somebody's downloading movies in the hotel. And you're back.
Yeah. I might have to call it an early night, guys, because this is beyond this is beyond frustrating. It's beyond frustrating. I feel like I get 2 words out and then I freeze, and then I'm on for 3 seconds and I freeze. That's just frustrating. Just to do audio without camera. I don't know if I could do just audio, just video or audio.
Oh.
Can I mute my video?
When you do stop cam?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Maybe this will work.
Oh no! now we've got Stickman. Yeah,
that could work, man.
You know what? If it works, let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, what else you got, man?
No, fire away. Shoot.
Well, I got. Let's go. Let's kind of walk the dog on this because I think So, 19th, you had the pay envoy to Beirut.
Man. This is crazy. This is wild.
And then you were in the neighborhood of like 2,000 or
Oh.
weapons depots, etc. The senior group said the source that had ordered 5,000 beepers made by Taiwan-based Gold Apollo, which several sources say were brought into the country earlier this year. Operation North Arrow launched 2,000 tons of ammunition and hit 1,500 launch and military depot sites. And here's the thing I had about Netanyahu that I thought was interesting: was his speech a ruse to get all of Hezbollah leadership into one place?
Yeah, I've seen and heard that. Yeah.
Here's another thing too to think about. You know, in the speech, he was very, very, very specific about phrase. He says a phrase, and to me, that seems like a trigger word. You know, so like he would have signed the authorization, he would have pre-approved the mission, and it would have been dependent upon him saying a particular phrase in his speech. If he didn't say the phrase, then they wouldn't have the green light to go.
Wow.
But
Wow.
if he did say the phrase, then they would have the green light to go. And this to me, just because it seemed, I don't know. But here, check this out. So Israel operates on Israel Standard Time, which is 7 hours ahead of Eastern Standard Time.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, when he spoke, it was around 10 to 11, which would have been about 5 to 6. So 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time would have been about 6 p.m. Israeli
Mm-hmm.
Standard Time. So when he says the phrase, "If you strike us, we will strike you," that to me was where I thought if he was going to plant a trigger phrase in his speech, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the green light. When they heard that, that's when the jets off, right? So we know that by 6:49 Israeli Standard Time. So I don't know
11:49.
exactly when he said the phrase, and I'd have to go back and look at the timestamps on it, but that to me would have been their go signal. And by 6:49, they had already dropped these 2,000. Well, I don't know how many. It looked like there was two or three, but they're 2,000-pound bunker busters. And there's as soon as I saw that, like, there's no way anybody can survive that, because if they're underground at this time, they are buried in rubble.
Yeah.
Anyways, that to me is interesting to think about.
Yeah,
He may have,
and literally from the time that phrase went out in less than an hour.
and yeah, and
45
you got to
minutes
think
to an hour max. Yeah.
they fly up there. You got to launch. You got to fly up there, and the flight there probably wouldn't have been
And
more
these
than
guys are ready to take off. They're just waiting for that. Yeah.
yeah. So I think with the time to get there, they may have launched it. So let's just say they launched at 6. They would have been, well, I don't know. They may have got to get up to altitude, get on the right trajectory, get everything punched in. 6:15 at the most. They would have been dropping. Or
Yeah, and they most likely went out over the Mediterranean. Yeah.
There was the bomb. Then you're gonna have to talk about this. This is where I think time comes in, where people are trying to figure out why did they hit this building, you know? And then the people that knew were like, "Oh man, that's where
They,
headquarters is." And so
and I
by the
know you've
time they
seen the
actually probably
pictures of
got
the destruction, and it's just insane. And what I was reading was they used 60 bombs total, 85 tons. and apparently Nasrallah, he suffocated in these gases and whatever since he was down. And I don't know if you've seen the videos or some of the pictures of how far down where he was, where they got his body out. It was down 40, 50 feet. I mean, it's insane. You're good.
Oh, you're back? Okay. So my thing, and I kind of thought of this phrase, and I shot it to John Holler. I was like, hey man, here's a title for you. Running out of proxies for Iran, because right now they've lost Hamas, they've lost Hezbollah, they've basically have lost the Houthis. They went there. Port that.
Oh man, they demolished that port again. Whew.
October surprise in like a October 7th style attacks, and I think there's probably some truth to that.
Yeah.
So I think going into October tomorrow's October 1st, I would just begin to caution people, head on a swivel, always keep an eye out, always, like this thing I'm reading, Left of Bang. It's about if bang is the bad thing that happens, you want to be left of it. So you don't want to be reactive
to
it happens. So that's the mindset I think that we as watching believers need to really kind of incorporate into our psyche. And it's just really about being aware of, reading people and then being aware of your situation. So in reading people, they went to experts like, professional poker players. They went to people that track people for a living, what do they call them? Bounty hunters. And there's a wide range of people to figure out tells and to figure out the little micro reactions that we have, and things that like should be obvious to us at the beginning, right? So for instance, you're out on a street and you're patrolling and you're a Marine in Iraq or somewhere, and you see a guy with like a heavy overcoat walking kind of in your direction. I mean, that's a pretty obvious thing, right?
right.
That's something we should know kind of instinctively, but it's even, more than that. It's being able to read into things very quickly and then make a decision off that. That whole process is called heuristics. And I'm not saying that everybody out here needs to be experts in heuristics, but I think, you walk into a grocery store and we kind of go into these things with like this kind of normalcy bias. Even I do it. I mean, I go to Walmart all the time in my hometown. So like, why would I think it's any different than the last time I went into Walmart? But that's the trap we get into. So I think as we move into October and as we move into November and the elections and everything, I think going forward from here on out, we just need to be very
what is that? 2
very
Timothy 3.
cautious.
I mean, yeah, dangerous, stressful times will come. We're there.
But yeah, so that's kind of my advice going forward. Inauguration day, January 19th, I believe is going to be the date. May 14th, 2025 will be the 77th anniversary of Israel's independence. And then actually come up like just in a week or so, we've got the 1 year anniversary of October 7th.
Yeah.
So that is where I think between that and probably the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot in October 13th, 14th, or 13th through the 15th, I think is when Sukkot is. Somewhere in there, they may want to. I don't know who. I don't know who would make a show of force, but it could come out actually. Juanita, wait. Yeah, heuristics.
There's some big things coming, man.
The continuity amendment. If you guys are tracking that, that's this mass casualty bill that Congress. It's a bipartisan proposal, and basically, it says that if in the event of a mass casualty, the parties would be able to put somebody into place. I think the states are like the state governors would put their uh, representative. If a Republican died or whatever, then it would be a Republican to replace with. But it used to be it used to have to do these special elections to replace the vacant seats within like a 40 to 45-day window. So now I think they're trying to speed that up, and they're using the case of Congressman Scalise up and shot him, and I think they're using that as the thing that how one gunman can tip the balance of let's just say the Congress is pretty close, and then one gunman takes out a few Republicans, and boom, the balance of power is shifted. So I don't know that that's necessarily a bad idea to kind of update this policy. Yeah, here it is. It says, in the event of a member's death, the governor of the state would have 10 days to appoint one of these individuals as a temporary replacement, and the appointee would serve until a special election would be held.
An appointee.
So the day before, but my thing is, it'd be interesting if this. What if this is going to be put in place by the time the rapture happens? And I just did some like a quick, I was goofing around on this. I said, okay, let's say that Republicans make up roughly half of the 435 House members. What if 40% disappeared? Would that
Jeez.
What would that be out of 218? You'd have 87 Republicans gone. And if you took the other half and you did 6% disappearance, you'd have about 13. So clearly, I think regardless of what happens after the rapture, the Democrats are going to control.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And if Trump's in office, then assuming he is not a Christian and JD Vance is not a Christian, they may be still in power. If either of them are, we don't know that. I mean, that's between them and God, really. I don't try to presume anybody's salvation status, but let's just say one of them was taken out of the equation, then boom, you've got a pretty top-heavy Democrat government that's still in place. I don't know. What do you think?
No, and you mentioned that too, and some people have said it in chat. Martial law is even possible by then because we don't know what kind of crazy town's coming in the next couple of weeks. I mean, because they've got to get control of us one way or another, the Americans.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, for their agenda, just like the last round, I mean,
I just think the timing of it's so bizarre. Like they've had all this time to do this. They've had, Scalise was shot back in 2017. Why did they wait till just now to do it?
Yeah,
That I don't get.
But we could literally see how God's hand is literally just directing this all into this time right now. I mean,
let's see. Yeah. Somebody asked about Yellowstone.
Yeah. And I know there's more stuff going on with the sun and everything else. And
yeah, I don't know. I just think that one of the theories that I had about that involves Yellowstone is the second. I want to say it's the second trumpet judgment. Let me pull it out real quick.
Revelation 8, verse 4, I think.
Yeah, let me get it. Revelation. Okay, let's see. The first angel sounded, and hail and fire followed, mingled with blood, and they were thrown to the earth, and a third of the trees were burned up. Oh, it's the first trumpet judgment. This is just a loose theory. This is not, I'm not going to die on this hill. But like, I was just always thought that if Yellowstone went up, and depending on the time of year, if it were in the fall, I guess you would have the northerns blowing down from the Canadian, or and from Canada, if I can say Canada, Canada, from the northwest to the southeast, it kind of blows in that direction. And if Yellowstone did erupt at some point, that this, I think this could be triggered here. I mean,
and look where it would blow, all over the heartland of the growing.
Oh yeah.
They're saying when that thing goes, there's going to literally be feet and feet and feet of ash, even to like the Dakotas and Minnesota or something. And that's just on a westward, eastward kind of scenario.
Yeah, no, there would be no surviving that. There would be no surviving the what fall. Trees in the world is in the Americas. It talks about a third of the trees and all the grass, but a third of the trees are in America. So a third of the oceans are the Atlantic Ocean. So a third of the oceans turn to blood. I don't know if they would trigger some other kind of reaction there.
Yeah.
The Atlantic is a third of the ocean. So my thought was that perhaps God was cutting off the old world from the new world. And just like it was That's nice. Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking this is even after God turns off the winds in chapter 7:1. I mean, he stops the wind on the earth. That's our jet streams, our weather patterns, so that no wind will blow on the earth or on the sea or on any tree.
Yeah, it says, saying, "Do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees, so we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads." Yeah, maybe that I don't know if it. Can you imagine living in a world where there's no breeze?
That was right.
Dude, that would.
Can you imagine the staleness of the air? And then when a third of these living creatures in the sea start dying, the stench from a third. And then when all of them do at the end, I mean, that's a lot of nasty stuff floating to the top that's going to just nasty. Oh, my goodness.
You think that alone? I mean, you got to think everybody that lives near the ocean is going to have to move as far away from the ocean as possible. Because just of the smell,
Well, and think about it too, because that's going to totally destroy the ecological system of the ocean, because the ocean is basically the sewer system, the tank of the world, that all the nastiness flows into there, and it's like the garbage disposal of the earth. I mean, man.
Big fish kills are happening. Spread. Yeah. Is there any questions so far? Let me see.
Yeah, the rivers and the lakes.
Anybody had any questions? Right. See where is questions. I don't know. If you see any questions, let me know. I can't find
Maranatha has one.
If you guys have questions, just put them in.
Blood consists of components: plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. When water turns into blood, will it be components? Shoot, that's a good one, because You know, and I've heard different things too. Like we don't know if it actually turns blood red, or it could be, you know, and people conjecture it could be like a red tide kind of a scenario. But the more we read the scriptures, the more it seems literal. Like it's going to turn, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be like
Old
real blood,
Testament, yeah,
just like it
yeah,
was in the Nile.
yep.
Yes, there's a reason why they're trying to implement robots and AI in the workforce. Yep. That's a good thing, a point to talk about right now is because like, they want to get the people that run everything behind the scenes, they want to get the world population down to 500 because they think that for them, they don't see that they don't think this is the end. It's only the end if things keep going the way they're going. So for them, they becoming more and more desperate in trying to implement these things, but they're expecting, and I don't know, maybe they're being told this by their demonic overlords or whatever, but they're expecting a great crisis to happen, which a lot of people will
Mm-hmm.
die, but they're still going to need all this mundane stuff done. Like they're going to need people to harvest the fields and to work the factories and produce, make bread and all the things that we do to survive as a species. They're going to still need people to, or they're going to need somebody to do that, and that's why
Mm-hmm.
they're okay with doing these, modernizing every industry to the point where you don't need any humans in there anymore. Like these
Yeah.
Amazon warehouses where it's just full of drones, going from place to place. Oh, there it is. I see it. Blood consists of components. Yeah. I don't, hey, honestly, God is just going to be able to do that lickety split. Like for him, that's not a big issue.
And the plagues,
Um,
yeah.
I mean, will it be literal blood? Yeah, I think it will. I think it will be
Mm-hmm.
literal blood.
Mm-hmm.
And it will choke the life out of everything in the ocean. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's going to die, but God's going to be able to bring it back. God's going to
Yeah.
bring he's going to be able to bring the ocean back, or the whatever consists of the ocean at that point. We know that if you read Lee Brainerd's book, Recreation or Regeneration, or Recreation or Renovation, the new heavens and the new earth. So that's kind of the question. Is it going to be a completely new earth where very different from the world we live in today? So different that historical spots would no longer have any significance, like where Christ was crucified or where the
Mm.
Israelites crossed over the Red Sea. Like would those places be wiped away too? I don't think so.
No.
Or it may be that the earth is restored during the kingdom age to the Edenic like state, but it doesn't remove those places that have historical, because I part of my thoughts were like, how cool would it be to go on a tour of, a lot of these prophecy teachers have the
Of the
cruises and
actual where this took place, and yeah.
yeah, what if the tourism draw in the future is going to be the where the Apostle Paul leads people on
like
his
like the
journey, and
Ark
or
experience in Kentucky or whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we can go to the real ark, and then Moses can be like, yeah, this is where I landed.
That would be awesome.
Okay, blah, blah. Here we go. Josephina, did I say that right? Do you think what happens to Damascus is nuke from Iran that gets blown up? That's a good question. If it is, I don't know. I don't think the Iranians would risk, um, unless they're sending it there to be blown up so that the fallout falls on Israel. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
honestly, I think it is Israel going to, so the Bashar Assad, the regime forces, the Russians, whoever's plotting something there is going to be a response for taking out Nasrallah. There's going to be a response for the
Oh yeah.
pager attacks, and there's going to be all
Oh
these,
yeah.
Israel's expecting them. That's why I guess they moved in today in the ground forces. But I feel like something may come out of Damascus that may present itself as that significant threat that the Israelis will not allow to come to fruition, and that's where they attack. And right now you have Turks, you have Russians, and you have Iranians all working in and out of Syria.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's interesting to me now that the since Iran has lost its two big proxies and one minor proxy in the fight against their, um, eternal enemy, the Jews, now it seems like something has got to be able to draw in Russia, draw in Iran, and draw in Turkey at the same time. And there's that photo, if you saw that photo where all three of the prime ministers are sitting there talking.
Yeah, Russia was just meeting with Iran again today, doing this deal of the century, is what they're calling it. They're going to try to start doing this thing where they go around all the sanctions, and they'll control 70% of the global natural gas market.
Yeah, it seems very much like we're about to see. I don't know. I mean, maybe this year. And I had my thing was, I thought that Israel would have already finished everything and mopped the floor with Hamas, and they'd have been done with that back in, probably late May at the latest. And here we are now, still. Maybe it's just because everyone underestimated the tunnel systems they had
Yes,
under.
and they surprised Israel. Yeah.
So that's me. That to me is the $1 million question: is what happens in Damascus that causes the reaction. It could also very well be something that happened in, on remember the port at Beirut when
Oh yeah.
they had that fertilizer,
Yeah.
that massive explosion that looked like a mushroom bomb. I mean,
Yep.
that it could be something like that as well too. And my feeling is that Bashar Assad has been storing all these weapons underneath Damascus for years.
He has.
And not only him, but from my understanding, he was the one holding all of Saddam Hussein's, a lot of his weapons of mass destruction, because they're both politically aligned, same groups.
And what Syria has is a lot of chemical weapons.
Yes, and it could be something that hits that, like a bunker buster that hits
Yes.
that, and then boom,
Uh-huh.
you have a toxic waste dump, that nobody's going to be able to live in anymore, which would be fulfilling scripture.
And even the cities Homs and Aleppo are going to get hit.
Yeah.
That's the Harmoth and the Arpod here in Jeremiah 49:23, a different camera angle to the Isaiah 17. Now I'm going Bill Salas on you. So, but yeah, it's it looks like there's going to be more than just Damascus, but I like that idea. Yeah.
All right. And that asked, did you see the map on Inconvenient Truth? Let's see. I have not seen the map. Looking forward to here. I guess he had a map of like where the flooding would happen.
Oh yeah, like the naval map. Yeah, the U.S. and
Yeah, I don't see it, but I never watched it. That was what, back in 2000 and
oh man, that was Al Gore, wasn't it?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was back then. Yeah, that was like 2010, 2012, maybe somewhere in there.
I don't think that let's see, it says, did you see the map, Inconvenient Truth movie? Al Gore predicted the flood area that the hurricane just hit. I remember looking at the
Oh,
map. It looks like where we had the disasters. Yeah, I'm curious if there's another hurricane coming up. If it follows that same path, there might be something to this where they're trying to
and
wipe
this
out
thing
the.
ramped up in a hurry too.
Yeah, yes, it did.
And didn't it just like form in the Gulf and then just like take off like a dog out of a pen? I mean, just
Yeah.
yeah,
Diane says, "What did Jared Kushner say?" Let me read it to you.
yeah,
It, it's
it's a good one.
yeah. Let me see. Okay, again, this is from Amir Sarfati, and he posts so much on there, it's hard to find. If you lose something and you don't save it right away, you probably will never find it again. So it says Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, and the architect of the Abraham Accords, wrote this on X. Quote, September 27th is the most important day in the Middle East since the Abraham Accords breakthrough. I've spent countless hours studying Hezbollah, and there is not an expert on earth who has thought that what Israel has done to decapitate and degrade them was possible. This is significant because Iran is now fully exposed. The reason why their nuclear facilities have not been destroyed, despite weak air defense systems, is because Hezbollah has been a loaded gun pointed at Israel. Iran spent the last 40 years building this capability as its deterrent. President Trump would often say, quote, Iran has never won a war, but has never lost a negotiation. The Islamic Republic's regime is much tougher when risking Hamas, Hezbollah, Syrian, and Houthi lives than when risking their own. Their foolish efforts to assassinate President Trump and hack his campaign reek of desperation and are hardening a large coalition against them. I'm going to read that again. Their foolish efforts to assassinate President Trump and hack his campaign reek of desperation and are hardening a large coalition against them. Iranian leadership is stuck in the old Middle East while their neighbors in the GCC are sprinting towards the future by investing in their populations and infrastructure. They are becoming dynamic magnets for talent and investment while Iran falls further behind. As the Iranian proxies and threats dissipate, regional security and prosperity will rise for Christians, Muslims, and Jews alike. Israel now finds itself with the threat from Gaza mostly neutralized and the opportunity to neutralize Hezbollah in the north. It's unfortunate how we got here, but maybe there can be a silver lining in the end. Anyone who's been calling for a ceasefire in the north is wrong. There's no going back for Israel. They cannot afford now to not finish the job and completely dismantle the arsenal that has been aimed at them. They will never get this chance. They will never get another chance.
That's right.
After the brilliant rapid-fire tactical successes of the pagers, radios, and targeting of leadership, Hezbollah's massive weapon cache is unguarded and unmanned. Most of Hezbollah's fighters are hiding in the tunnels. Anyone still around was not important enough to carry a pager or be invited to a leadership meeting. Iran is reeling as well, insecure and unsure how deeply its own intelligence has been penetrated.
Mm-hmm.
Failing to take full advantage of this opportunity to neutralize the threat is irresponsible. I have been hearing some amazing stories about how Israel has been collecting intelligence over the past 10 months with some brilliant technology and crowdsourcing initiatives. But today, with the confirmed killing of Nasrallah and at least 16 top commanders eliminated in just 9 days, today was the first day I started thinking about a Middle East without Iran's fully loaded arsenal aimed at Israel. So many more positive outcomes are possible. This is a moment to stand behind the peace-seeking nation of Israel and the large portion of the Lebanese who have been plagued by Hezbollah and who want to return to their lives when their country was thriving in Beirut, a cosmopolitan city. The main issue between Lebanon and Israel is Iran. Otherwise, there's a lot of benefit for the people of both countries from working together. The right move now from America would be to tell Israel to finish the job. It's long overdue, and it's not only Israel's fight. More than 40 years ago, Hezbollah killed 241 U.S. military personnel, including 220 Marines. That remains the single deadliest day for the U.S. Marine Corps since the Battle of Iwo Jima. Later that same day, Hezbollah killed 58 French paratroopers. And now, over the past 6 weeks or so, Israel has eliminated as many terrorists on the U.S. U.S. list of wanted terrorists as the U.S. has done in the last 20 years, including Abraham Akil, the leader of Hezbollah's Islamic Jihad organization, who masterminded the 1983 killing of those Marines. End quote.
He had a $7 million bounty on his head, too. I wonder if the U.S. paid Israel.
Oh, man. Yeah, for real. But, what's interesting to me, though, is I had seen an interview a couple of days ago, I guess right as this was happening, with Louis Sarkozy. And if you don't know who Louis Sarkozy is, you should look him up. He is the son of the former French Prime Minister Nicolas Sarkozy.
Ooh.
And And yeah, he's a very intriguing guy to look at. Like he's very very good looking guy, very well educated. He went to the U.S. military academy, and but he and I think he lives in the U.S. But he's involved in like fashion, philosophy, economics. Like he's kind of a Renaissance man, if I can put it that way. But
Wow.
when I look at when I look at people who make candidates for good Antichrist candidates, I look at like potential, like where's this guy? Where's he going? If he's not a Christian,
Yeah.
if he's not a born again Christian, he's going to be left behind. And if he's left behind, he's fair game for Satan to use as his.
Hmm.
But he said something to the same effect as Kushner. He said, you know what? They killed 58 French paratroopers. I say Israel should go ahead and finish the job. Finish wiping them out.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what made me think about that. He said the same thing. All right. Trace Severs, do you think the mark of the beast will be transhumanism? I think it will result in transhumanism.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'll result in you
Because
not
I think
being
this is how they're
fully
going to
human.
promise people, like, you take this and we'll help you to live forever, at least 500 years, because we're going to fix all your ailments. We're going to. Mhm.
Well, think about it this way. Look at it this way. We just had this massive flooding in the East Coast. I mean, just flooding of biblical proportions, right? I mean, just the worst flooding I've seen in my lifetime. And
Entire bridges are gone. I'm like, what?
look at how much that whole area. One of the first things they're handing out down there is the Starlink. Um, uh, I don't know, these things that you can get Starlink internet from. What do they call them? Like the modems or whatever. They're
Yeah.
handing these things out like that's an essential, like it's bottle of water or food, blanket, and you get this Starlink thing, uplink thing, and it just shows you how dependent we are on the internet for everything. And I can't imagine that immediately after the rapture and the initial chaos that's gone on in the world, that the big hook for everybody would be like, all right, man, you join this system, you can get back online, but if you don't, sucks to be you, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. 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 And when they come out with this, I mean, I know that the Antichrist wound up forcing it on him, or the false prophet, actually. Yeah. Isn't that wild? But I think people are going to line up for this technology when it comes out and what they promise as part of the alluring package that Lucifer's going to bring forth. I mean,
Let's see. Well, that I think too that it's going to have the allure to it. For one, I think is going to be multifaceted. One,
mm-hmm.
you'll be able to get you access the internet for free. They'll make it for free, anything you want, no bandwidth limits, etc. Um,
Because it's
and if
information. Yeah.
Yeah, and it will be the access that you will need to be able to buy or sell, because all the currency will at that point will become 100% digital, the CBDCs or whatever. But the part of it that makes it irredeemable, in my estimation, is that when they actually take it in their hand or take it in their forehead,
Yeah.
that it does change you enough biologically.
Yeah.
It alters your genome, and
Mm-hmm.
it does allow for you to have a I don't want to say immortality, but it may trigger something in your DNA that allows you to heal, like, you know
Yes.
instantly, kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
chameleon. Like if you lost your arm, it'll grow back.
Yep.
If you have cancer can't survive in you. Basically anything hurting your body is going to be kind of done away with, right? Because
Yep.
these nanobots or whatever they are inside of
That's
this
right.
chip are going to
That's
attack
right.
that stuff. But at the same time, when you get to, what is it, Revelation 8, when those demonic locusts begin to torment people, they can't kill them.
Yeah.
You
For
know,
Revelation 9 there. Yeah. For 150 days, 5 months.
and then during the bowl judgments, one of the first or second bowl judgments is the water is turned to blood. So that you don't have any fresh water anywhere on the planet. So the only way you're going to survive is you're going to be dying of thirst, but you're not able to die, because of
And you're going to be dying of thirst, and he's going to turn up the heat with the sun right after that.
yeah, we get
So
some kind of like supernova event, and it's super dark. And in the darkness, you think about it, if there was no, we get our heat from our sun,
I
right?
was going to
So,
say, think about how nasty cold and
but it won't be cold. It'll be a supernatural darkness, but it'll also be incredibly still stifling hot.
yeah, yeah.
And then at the same time, you can't die and you can't drink anything. That
Uh-huh.
sounds just like hell on earth.
Yeah. I'm
So
giving
it
you a
sounds
taste. Yeah.
you're getting a taste of hell before you go there. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
Okay. Be rich. Yes, I know. I'm sorry, be rich. My internet's
We can
just
hear him. No, it's good. Yeah.
garbage tonight. I don't know what's going on with it. So if I can keep this going, you don't have to see my face. Okay, let's see. Question again, Annette. Annette always has a lot of good questions. Do you think the second moon might cause more earthquake tidal waves? I don't think it will. I don't think it's very big. I don't think it's very big at all. So in fact, I don't think you could see it with the naked eye.
I've
I
heard
don't know what you've
both.
heard.
Yeah, I've heard you can't see it, and then I've heard others say, "Oh, it's going to be bright enough." I'm like, "Well, it's 2024. I wouldn't be surprised." But it's not going to be like an actual moon next to. It's going to be like like a dot or something.
Yeah, it'll be something that looks like it's it may be like a little, it may look like a how the International Space Station. You can sometimes get a glimpse of
Oh
that.
yeah.
So let's see, Donegal. It says, do you think that Hurricane Helene could have been humanly planned and manufactured?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Honestly, I feel like Hurricane Helene is part of this judgment against this
Yeah.
nation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's more God designed than anything. Arrow Whisper. Monkey Work showed how Germany has been doing some heavy weather manipulations, wind blowing to the US. Yeah. Yeah, I know they can add in silicone and aluminum particulates into the cloud, like cloud seeding, to make it rain more. I don't know what the intent is, if it's to make it rain more, but that's what we saw in California. They were doing that in California, where they had this, what they call it, atmospheric flooding or whatever. Where early in this year, that California was just inundated with flooding like crazy.
And
I know
they
that.
admitted too they were doing the seeding in Saudi Arabia even a month or two ago, and then they had record floods move through Yemen, washing out.
I'm not saying that they're not doing any kind of monkeying with the weather. I'm just saying I don't think they have a really solid way of controlling it yet. So uh, I don't know why Germany would be doing it. It's like cold and rainy there all year. Anyways, you only get like a month or two. It's only like sunny a month or two out of the year.
You're right. It does. It has this. Yeah. It's like it's socked
Okay.
in or something. Yeah. With clouds.
Yeah. Do you think the rapture will cause the Earth to geological phenomena? Who's that guy? He's kind of charismatic, but he's not. Um, Perry Mason? No, Perry
Mary
Stone. Perry
Stone?
Stone. Yeah. He had a theory, and he said that maybe the rapture, because of our physical translation from the mortal to the immortal, will release an electronic discharge, if you will.
Hmm.
And that
Like,
if enough people are raptured, yeah, that would send a huge electrical um, discharge, almost in the way of like an EMP, as it happens all at once, and it just boom. That's the reaction that the atmosphere has to our bodies changing. I don't know. I don't know if that's
I like
part
that.
of
Yeah.
it, but it's
Because
it's interesting.
it seems like it'll be a frequency change from immortal to immortality. And
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't.
I've always wondered too, because there's that debate whether the graves will be disturbed, when people come up. And
yeah, I like Perry Stone on some things. I think I agree with somebody there. I think he's a little out there on other things. But you know what? To each their own. I mean, he's
I
got a
like
big
his
following.
enthusiasm. How's that? Yeah.
Yeah, he's got good enthusiasm for sure. He definitely has a good enthusiasm. That was all the questions. They had a lot of energy and harp. It was the night it made landfall. Here's one. Your thoughts on the many people who have had two moon rapture dreams over the years? Oh, Tyler's gonna hate me for this.
Oh no.
How can I word this without making half the audience mad?
Well, you know what? The one thing I always throw out is 1 Corinthians 1:22. I mean,
man.
Jews look for the signs. Greeks, we search for wisdom. I get it. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. But yeah, but you know what else? I was telling someone else this too, because she was telling me like she's having these weird rapture dreams and she thinks it's this, or do you think she's overthinking it? And I said, you know what? In this such late hour, it doesn't matter because you're being encouraged.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
This causes you to give more praise to the Almighty and thank you, Jesus, for what you're done and what you're about to do. I mean, yeah.
Because I'm sure you've heard my thing. I mean, I've had something happen to me that I think defies natural circumstances, but so I don't diminish anybody else's dreams or visions. I just personally, I don't have dreams like that. I had one back in 2013. That was the last time I remember having a really like a strong it felt like a prophetic dream. It felt like something that would God put on my heart or whatever. But even still, I mean, I wrote about it and I said, "Hey, this is what I dreamt about," but take it with a grain of salt, you know. But what I saw was this world. Like I was kind of not on the world. I was kind of looking at the world just spinning in space, and it was like this web, like a spider's web was just closing in on it, and then it just close it and then begin wrapping it and been, really this begin like covering it and like completely, trapping it. And to me, I felt like that was like this system that we're in, this world system, this Antichrist system is just choking the world off. And it's like, but even then, like I guess if I had that dream over and over and over,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah. No, I've been waking up with like prophetic style dreams, and by the time I get up to note them down, it's like the Holy Spirit's like, I gave you a chance to wake up, but no, but I've had dreams of like something going across like a huge style moon, but it was bigger than the moon. It was closer to the earth. But this was back in probably 2022 when I was filling my mind with a lot of different kind of things too, like an input scenario, maybe going down rabbit trails and whatnot. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I do think that if you fill your mind with whatever it is that you fill your mind with, you're bound to be dreaming about those things because that's your subconscious. Your mind is resetting during the night when you're in REM.
They were so real. You can see the color, you can see the image. It's right there. Yeah.
I'll tell you the strongest dreams I ever had, like the most vivid, was when I was in Iraq and we had to take that anti-malaria medicine, doxycycline. Yeah, I remember taking Doxy and the first couple of nights I was taking it and I was waking up, I was like, dude, I'm having these like crazy dreams. And everybody's like, yeah, me too, me too. And it was like, oh, it's
wow.
Our PA that was going with deploying with us like, oh, it's the Doxy, man. The Doxy will make you have those kind of dreams. So I don't know, man. I don't want to diminish anybody's enthusiasm or their dreams or whatever. I think if and when these things happen, I think you just need to couch it with like, don't say something like the Lord showed me or the Lord told me, because at that point you're saying whatever's coming out of your mouth right now is equal to Scripture. If you're
Right.
putting the emphasis that God told you this or God showed you this, I would be very cautious in expressing that as something directly from God.
But
I don't even
I love
I don't
hearing these things because to them it's so real, and it is. I mean,
yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't want to discourage anybody, or I'm not trying to downplay anybody's dreams. I just exercise caution, and how much you put into it. Because there's been things in my career that I've been so sure about. And I felt like I had all the right signs and everything was lined up, and it didn't come to pass. So, I'm just
yeah.
I would exercise caution, you know. Um,
I had a bizarre dream a
yeah,
couple of years ago. The Mall of America was taken over by National Guard and military, and they wouldn't allow anyone to leave. But it was so real. I could see everything coming down. I think, what is that, 35 or something, the highway up there or something. I don't remember.
yeah. Hey, Kim, I got your email. I read it. Try to do better. Um, okay, let me show this one here. Pamela Minnick. Will it be through the duration of the tribulation period that they will want to die but can't die?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I think that's part of the punishment, is that they'll take this mark thinking that it's going to give them some kind of immortality, but then it does in a very limited sense, but only in the sense that they can't, that when they want to die, they're not going to be able to.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there's something to that. Yeah. Almost like a transhumanist kind of a scenario.
Well, I think about things about like the motivation or like the why of something. Why does something happen? Not that it happened or could it happen, but if it does happen, why does it happen?
Mm-hmm.
So we know that he has this mark that he demands everybody inject into their either forehead or to or it's embedded in them somehow,
Mm-hmm.
their hand or their forehead. But the minute they take it, they become irredeemable or
Mm-hmm.
unredeemable.
Mm-hmm.
So why are they unredeemable? And so it reminded me of a question that Tom Hughes we got asked this on his program a couple of years ago. And I didn't even think about my answer. I just said it so quickly that he kind of thought about it and he was like, yeah, that makes sense. But somebody said something to the effect, asked the question like, do do angels have free will or something? And I said, yeah, it's not that they don't have free will. It's that there's no there's no pathway for redemption for them if they choose wrong.
That's right.
So once they sin, once they rebel against God and commit a sin, there's no way to redeem them, because Jesus didn't come to die for the angels. He came to die for
That's right.
people, for humans, and that's why he became a man. And we see that in type, I guess. We're not in type, but it's kind of spelled out there in Hebrews chapter, the first few chapters of Hebrews. That God made him a little lower than the angels. That he became a man. Lived and died as a man, and because he never sinned, death couldn't hold him. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, but um, there's no plan for reconciliation for angels if they sin.
That's right.
So that's why Lucifer and his third that fell, they have no choice but to continue on this path to try and thwart God's plans by either destroying Israel or killing all the Jews. I
They're
mean,
so
trust me, man.
warped in their minds, they think they can do it. They think they can trip God up. Like God will be like, "Oh, I didn't see that coming." I mean,
Yeah. Well, maybe we're not privy, I guess, to perhaps all the conversations that Satan had with God and all this, like God's going to say, okay, well, I will only intervene very minimally in order to, I don't know. I'm not even going to try and go there, but they may have had all I'm saying is there may be things going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Debbie Wallace. Pete, will the Antichrist be a prince? It says he's the prince who is to come, so he may be
Yep.
some type of royalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like how Chuck Missler pointed it out. He calls him Mr. Big Mouth because he's always opening his mouth, getting in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
The prince that is to come. Yeah. Daniel 9. And the people of the prince who is to come. Yeah, Daniel 9:26. Leader, ruler, captain, prince.
I think there was a guy that had this book out about the Antichrist and a cup of tea or something. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
He's
I just can't imagine having that sit on a coffee table. The Antichrist and a cup of tea.
Yeah. Hold on, Sir Pierceville. Let me find it. Here we go. Oh, okay. Oh man, there's a bunch on here. Okay, thank you, Sir Pierceville. He went ahead and captured all these for us.
Oh wow.
Okay, first question, Mrs. John Johnson. The other question is, will Israel take out the remaining nuke reactors in Iran? They did it in Syria in 2007. I think that, according to Bill Salas, they will.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Jeremiah
49 verses 34 through 37 in specifics. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Abel Germa, if you're still on here, question: do you believe Trump winning the election will speed up the rapture timeline, as he will attempt to encourage countries at war to seek peace rather than Harris, who wants more war? Yes, I do think he will speed up. I think a Trump election win at this point puts the world in a better position for the rapture to happen in terms of the conditions of the world, et cetera, than Harris continuing on this like dumpster fire we're on. So I don't know. That's just kind of my opinion, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think if Trump wins, we've got him. It doesn't matter. I don't think who wins. I think they're still going to protest, and there's going to be a civil war breakout, a fight, something. But yeah, it's like both sides. It doesn't matter. They're both leading to the same destination: destruction.
While yet still today, Conyers, Georgia, biolab fire now chlorine in the air. So shelter in place edict reportedly for an area due to chemicals, gas. I saw that giant fire that broke out there in Georgia. I have no idea, man, but
I didn't check in it to it today, but it was nasty, and they evacuated a huge area.
Phyllis Menace, was Damascus a targeted attack? I wasn't tracking that. I think you were the one that were tracking that attack today, right?
Yeah, and there's two different reports. There's conflicting reports. One was Syrian media was saying one of their Syrian reporters was killed in this. Israel said it was a meeting between IRGC and Syrian forces, that it was. Anyways, it was a targeted assassination, no doubt. Yeah. Come to find out, Phyllis Menace doesn't live too far from me in Indiana. I'm like, no way, that's cool. We don't get out much up here, you know.
Question: do you think this was weather manipulation on Hurricane Helene? I think we answered this. Or do you think something big will disrupt the election? I think something they're going to try and disrupt it with something. What
Yeah,
that is, I don't know. I think if it looks like the internal polling right now for Harris, and somehow some of her teams, her campaign teams, her audio was leaked out or something, and they're all sweating it right now because they're down in like the states they need to be up in. So I think that's the pressure on them right now. But
I still think they're going to take Trump out.
yeah, yeah, they're thinking about the next time he's on his plane. They're going to the Iranians or somebody, the cartel, or
Yeah, and that's what they're going to blame it on. Iran. Yeah, yeah. But like I was talking to Stephanie earlier tonight, and I was telling her or today before I talked to you for a couple minutes. But it's like the two attempts against Trump have now placed it into the minds of Americans. Twice it's happened, third time's a charm. So
yeah, yeah. Well, at least now they have his running mate is selected, and I'm sure there's a a hierarchy, or you don't know how to put it, but there's if whatever happens to Trump does,
well,
then
I've heard it's not Trump they want Vance.
oh really?
Yeah, with all his ties with Israel and everything, even deeper than Trump in a weird way through the technological side and everything. So who knows? It'll be interesting.
Yeah. So Real Oki put it will be a normal day when the rapture takes place. I absolutely agree with that. I think Jesus said it would be a day that we think not. It'll be on a day when we think not. So I think about how many I know there will be some disruptions in like the real urban areas, like the liberal cities where there'll be protesting and stuff like that if he wins. But I think most of America would be celebrating. I mean, most of our allies around the world would be celebrating if he wins. So I think they're going to try their best to prevent the election, to stop him, to not hand him power once he wins. But I think ultimately God is going to force this situation so that he ends up taking office. Um, Only for the fact that he will bring a sense of normalcy back, and people will kind of let their guards down. And I think at some point during his, I honestly, I think it's his. I think the rapture happens during his tenure, not before, not after. I think it's sometime during his tenure. But my opinion, I could be totally wrong. I've been wrong before. It's not the first time.
You're not quoting dates.
It'll be Operation Warp Speed once he gets in office, and it'll be like we'll be speeding toward the rapture this time.
Operation Warp out of here.
Question: how can there be any kind of economic system that is anything like it is now after the rapture? How can there be any kind of economic system that it is anything like it is now? When it happens, there won't be any schools.
How can there be any kind
Well, Becky, my thoughts on this are pretty well known, I guess, but I think that kids are going to be taken at the rapture, everybody under an age of accountability. And so obviously this is going to have a global impact because it's not just going to be children from the United States, from people that go to church, but from everywhere. And that's how the world. If the rapture only took Christians that actually made a profession of faith, then obviously any country that had any significant amount of Christians would be impacted, and you would have a lot of countries that are not impacted because there just aren't any Christians there. But I think also by taking children under a particular age, that this grief is going to be felt worldwide.
Oh yeah.
And but that again, that's just my thoughts on it.
And this will be the perfect time for them to do their great global reset to get everybody on the same currency because all the economics and
yeah. So I mean, for instance, and the reason why I think the children are taken and why that makes it a global crisis rather than just a regional crisis in certain places is because the Antichrist or Satan is going to need the entire world to come together very rapidly. He's not going to have a lot of time. And there will be wars and there will be people fighting that don't want to come under the system. Like you may have like a North Korea or something. But honestly, I think that people are going to be ready to join this, whatever the beast kingdom, when it kind of steps in the place in the vacuum of where the church used to be.
We're from the government. We're here to help.
Really. Really? Oh man. Well, hey guys, I apologize for my internet tonight. I don't even know what to do. Like it was great all day. Maybe I need to move my show earlier. Do it earlier when the internet's not enough people are online.
And now the past 30 minutes, it's been good.
It's just there's a small window of time when it just everybody's online. They're either streaming or they're downloading stuff. Or they're online. That's the only thing I can think of because it's always kind of around the same time. So maybe
that makes sense.
Maybe I need to move maybe I need to move this to an earlier time. So that may be something I consider going forward. Maybe Wednesday instead of 9 o'clock, I'm doing it at like 7 o'clock. Just I don't know. I've got to find a way to get on here where there's less people. Okay, BPNE Sally asks, what are your thoughts on the Antichrist being half Gentile and half Jewish? Chuck Missler shared something on that. I definitely think that the Antichrist will have some kind of ties back to some type of Jewishness, or not Jewishness, but some genetically he's Jewish somehow, and he may play onto that he's one.
I'm one of you. I'm one of you guys. Yeah.
Like what's her name? Pocahontas, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, here's some more. Thank you, Sir Pierceville. Sheila Sepulveda, have you guys talked about the port strikes? I didn't, but their international longshoremen, whatever.
Yeah.
If they do this strike, this is going to be significant economic pain. So right now, that is the last thing that the Biden-Harris administration want to happen.
Yes.
And Biden may try and force people to make it so that they can't strike.
Right.
However, I think he's going to end up turning however many tens of thousands of those guys against him overnight. He doesn't want to do that either. So
Biden has authority to end the port strike for 80 days. He won't do that because he wants chaos from the destruction of our supply chain. No trains or boats. I mean, yeah. But the other thing I wanted to throw out there tonight is dock workers kicked off a three-day strike at the port of Montreal today, shutting down 2 terminals that handle more than 40% of the container traffic at Canada's second largest port. So this is going to oh man.
It's 40, it's like something like 30 to 40 ports from Texas to Maine would shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much anything that you buy from overseas is going to not come to you.
And it's crazy because they haven't struck since 1977, and their whole thing, I get it, because they want more pay because they made billions since COVID, the ports did, but the thing in the language is they want to start bringing in automation, and the union's like, no, we don't want any partial automation at all. Well, you know what? They're going to be out of a job so long. Guess what they're going to do while those guys are out? They're going to install automation. They're not going to have jobs. I mean, it's a bad deal for all going forward, I believe.
Yeah. Well, he has the Teamsters behind. Trump has the Teamsters union behind him, and then he's got all of the law enforcement, pretty much every law enforcement agency outside of DC behind him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how this all plays out, but it could be catastrophic going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's almost like as Israel's kicking off, now you're going to start seeing the U.S. start.
Okay, Asset Ministries. What do you know about the shoulder-fired rockets that were smuggled into the U.S. to assassinate Trump? Not a whole lot. I know I was reading something on this the other day, and I don't know if this is linked to the Iranian bounty on his head, but they may be trying to leverage their relationship with the cartels to, um, hey, you know what? We've had this open border now since for the last 4 years. Who knows what's here? I mean, there could be dozens and dozens of terror cells waiting to just be activated. So
They're just waiting. Yeah.
I definitely think that's a potential threat, and I don't know what countermeasures he has on his plane, but Annette says, "Do you think they might start World War III so they can stay in power because of war?" Yep, I think that's certainly a possibility. That's not beneath them either.
No.
Okay, Stephen Randall's question: how does Israel end up dwelling safely, all of them without bars or gates, in the land restored from war, as Ezekiel puts it, with Kamala president? See, that's the thing, Stephen. I don't think that Israel can with Kamala in office. Um, we exude weak leadership. I mean, it's like a cheap cologne that we're wearing right now. We've just bathed in it, walking around the world stage, and we smell like weakness. And so weakness invites aggression. And I feel like this is Israel cannot get to that stage. So let's just say right now that Israel takes out Hezbollah. I mean, they pretty much decapitated the leadership right now. But if they're successfully able to go in and take control of southern Lebanon, where all these weapon depots and tunnels and all that kind of stuff are, um, here's an interesting thought. What if the fleeing that Israel does at the midpoint isn't to Petra like we all thought, but in these underground tunnels that their enemies built for them
That'd be wild.
unwittingly? Yeah, it could be. I mean, it's certainly a possibility. Uh, Allison's Allison says the cup of tea guy was making the case for a British monarch being the Antichrist, right? Yes, he was. He was trying to say it was going to be Prince Charles or King Charles, but and I think if that guy had written that book about 10 or 15 years earlier, he might have had a case. But who would guess, who would have thunk that Queen Elizabeth would have lived as long as she did? I mean, I mean, obviously God knew, but uh, anyway. So I think he was a potential candidate about 20 years ago. I don't think he is anymore, though. Now, could one of his sons be? I mean, that's a real generous stretch of Daniel 9:27 that he comes from the people of the prince who is to come makes this covenant. They're Romans, so theoretically you could trace the British monarchy lineage back to about realistically maybe the 8th century. I don't know that, and maybe they have ways to trace their lineage further back, but I think
That's a fun rabbit trail to go down too, with the tribe of
yeah.
Dan and everything. And yeah.
Well, here's two schools of thoughts on this. So this is a bit of a rabbit trail, but if you take Genesis 3:15 literally, which I do,
Mhm.
then there is a seed.
There's a seed war.
There's
Yep.
there's a seed between the seed of the serpent and the seed
Hmm.
of Mary. So we know that the
Hmm.
seed from Mary would become the Messiah, but the seed from the serpent to me would have been interrupted two different times. So it would have been interrupted at the flood, the global flood,
Hmm.
and then it would have been interrupted again at the Tower of Babel. And the thing about Babel too was that there was the incursions, the Nephilim incursions after the flood, because it says there would be before and after the flood. But by the time that Tower of Babel happened, people were no longer congregating in a general, specific kind of regional location. They were scattered to the four corners of the earth, right? Not
Hmm.
four literal corners, but four directions Australia, the Americas, all over the place. And even if the Nephilim did exist and there were giants and things like that, when we found evidence of giants living in the Americas and stuff at the time, um, humanity was too far um, disparate and scattered for them to really make any headway with trying to corrupt the whole population again. Because as soon as giants begin to crop up in an area, the locals ended up killing them all. So they weren't too keen on being eaten, so they ended up taking out these giants. So they didn't last very long. Deborah asked, does the start of the tribulation begin with the signing of the peace treaty with Israel that will be the Antichrist? He confirms a covenant. We assume it's a peace treaty, but we're not entirely sure that it is a peace treaty. It could be some other kind of thing. But let's just assume right now that Trump
It could
wins.
even be something as silly as this Pact of the Future that they'd make for 7 years or something. But I think it's something different too. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what it is, or if he even makes a treaty, and he might be reinforcing the treaty that already
Yeah,
exists.
yeah.
Which, if to me, what makes more sense than the Pact for the Future is going to be the Abraham Accords.
Yeah, and it appears that he will make it stronger or enforceable. Like, I will be behind it. I promise. Yeah.
Because look at his motivation. What is his ultimate goal? His ultimate goal is to seduce the Jewish people into trusting him, the Israeli
Yep.
people into trusting him. So the Pact for the Future doesn't scream, "Hey, trust
Right.
me." It looks more like this.
Great reset paperwork, everything that
Yeah,
Israelite
it
beauty.
looks more like
Yeah.
this globalist kind of thing. So,
Yeah.
but the Abraham Accord directly impacts, and it's what they really, really want. They want this to work out. They want normalization. They want to be able
And I
to
know you've heard
travel.
it more lately because Netanyahu's talking about an Abraham alliance.
Yes. And I think it has something to do with that more than anything the United Nations does. The United Nations might go around saying peace and safety. They are saying that I mean, they're saying that every day, all day long. But that may fulfill like First Thessalonians 5, when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them. So,
Yeah, 5 verse 3. Yep.
but I think this Daniel 9:27 covenant thing in my opinion, in my estimation, it is more. It seems more like it would be something like the Abraham Accords or this Abraham Alliance thing or whatever that somebody was mentioning. But
And I love how First Thessalonians 5:3, when they talk peace and safety, is after the harpazo in 4:17, the previous chapter.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, everything they're talking peace and safety now is just stage setting. But the stage is almost set. It's getting there. I mean, we're seeing all the puzzle pieces. Just yeah.
Becky asks, or what kind of economic system can be in place after the rapture? I can only imagine a Mad Max kind of society. I well, I think certain parts of the world will become lawless, like the Mad Max movies.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Certainly,
The entire world will in the second seal.
well,
Revelation
I mean,
6, 3, and 4 with the murder spree that breaks out. Yeah.
yeah.
Pieces taken from the earth.
So well, I guess the way I would see it is if the United States it seems like the United States would be the most impacted by the rapture, not because we have the most Christians, but we have the most born again Christians scattered throughout the social strata of our society. We have people from the very, very bottom all the way to the tippy top. So you've got people scattered, Christians scattered throughout that. So that would have the biggest impact. If you go to China, China has probably have more Christians than we have Americans, but my understanding is that the Chinese Christians there are very much underground. They're not allowed to. I mean, they're at the kind of the bottom rungs of society. They're not really. Uh, they're not the ones making the decisions or running things or leaders of key industries, etc. I think they are the. I think they are the. Their absence is going to be felt, but not as. It's not going to collapse their infrastructure like it would the United States. So, and that would go for Australia, Great Britain, any other kind of westernized nations that have had Christian influence for a long time. But um, Sally asked, okay, I think we read that one. Too many dreams. Okay, I think that's everything. Oh, wait, there's more.
Sir Pearson
Wait,
Bell said his memory on his phone is full from all the questions.
oh man, I'm not seeing them over here. I guess I'm looking at it through StreamYard, so it's coming at, I'm getting it very delayed. Hannelore, is the Psalms 83 war in progress? Yes, I'm of the mind that Psalm 83 began in 1948. As soon as they declared their statehood, they immediately began to be at war, and that's just been the state of things.
Wasn't it the next day, literally, when the Arab-Israeli War of Independence began?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it's never stopped. It's never stopped.
Oh,
Let's see.
if she's still in here, I was gonna say, man, yeah.
I think we're maybe on the verge of seeing it in though, because what I was saying earlier is once they
Oh
take out
no. Mm-mm.
Hamas, once they take out,
I think we're just getting going.
well, no, with Psalm 83, because you
Psalm
have to have
83, yeah. We've still got Jordan to join in. We've still got Egypt to join in. We've still got Saudi part of it to join in, it looks like.
Well, here's the thing though, by the time that Ezekiel 38, 39 happened, none of those bordering nations are part of that coalition.
Right. That's right. That's right.
So
Because they're taking
there's
care
no
of those roundabout.
there's no guarantee that Saudi Arabia or Jordan will join in because they're kind of one in the same country. That the Saudis founded Jordan back around the same time.
Oh yeah. What time did those countries become nations again? Yeah. We were talking about that.
Here,
After the Balfour.
let's see. You emailed that to me, didn't you?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Everything happened after the Balfour.
So Afghanistan became a nation in 1919. Egypt became a nation, a modern nation, 1922. Saudi Arabia and Iraq, 1932. Iran, 1935. So they went from Persia to Iran in 1935. Lebanon, 1943. Syria and Jordan, 1946. And then Israel, 1948.
1948.
So I think, I don't know. It seems like there's it seems like especially if they're able to if they're able to neutralize Hezbollah right now, and they've pretty much neutralized Hamas and they've neutralized the Houthis. The only folks that are left are those groups in Judea and Samaria that are still kind of running around, and they're not as organized as Hezbollah or as powerful. But there's still those folks there in that area. So I think what's going to result out of all of this is that Israel's going to expand their borders.
Oh yeah.
And may end up taking permanent control of southern Lebanon,
Yes.
south of the Litani River, and they will probably maintain a presence there in Gaza.
They will take over Gaza. Yep.
And then I don't think they want to necessarily, but I don't think they have a choice because they can't really trust. Well, let me say that if Trump wins, they may have a choice. They may have the ability to hand that over to American-led, some kind of force there. But
they're going to take all the West Bank, Judea, and Samaria.
Yeah, they'll have to take over that. So I think at this point, I don't know how keen Jordan is to jump in a fight against Israel after all they've seen so far.
Well, Ammon's going to become a mound of dirt, Jeremiah 49, verse 2. I mean, yeah, they're part of it. Especially Ammon, Moab, Edom, the three players, the people groups there of Psalm 83. That's what I'm saying. There's some big surprises because Jordan still has that paper-thin peace treaty with Israel. Egypt still has that paper-thin peace treaty with Israel. Paper-thin.
Yeah.
Because you remember, what was it, 1979, I think, with Carter, with Egypt, and then under Clinton in 94 with Jordan, I think it was. But something's going to happen to the Temple Mount. This is going to pull in all the Arab neighbors.
Oh yeah, yeah. There may be
This
that.
will
There
pull
may
in your
be
Jordans of the world, your Egypts of the world. You touch their Mecca, man, or Al-Aqsa.
yeah. But at the same time is the crown prince Mohammed bin Salman, just the other day was like, I don't really care about the Palestinian problem. That's not my problem. Like something to that effect. Um, Sally asked, in the United Nations document, it mentions empowerment for women. Do you think this has something to do with the trafficking?
Down the road, yeah.
They can't even define a woman. I really don't know what that means.
Maybe that's why in Revelation 18 it calls them the souls of men or human lives in different translations, because we don't know what they are. They're just human. You're right. As one of the 28 cargoes being traded around. Yeah.
Here's a question for you from Annette. Doesn't the Bible say the Antichrist will come from the area of Syria and Dan?
Yeah, it gives definitely indication he's an Assyrian from the north, Micah 5, 5, and 6. And yeah. And it's wild too, because it looks like the Antichrist is going to be from somewhere of the Roman Empire. Doesn't necessarily mean he's from Italy. You know what I mean? Like not Rome.
Yeah. I would just say that if he is from any Islamic country, I don't see how they would accept him as any kind of Messiah figure.
How screwed up would that be if their Mahdi or their Messiah coming that the Jews would fall for? How crazy would that be? But
here's a question that Jack Kelly answered a while years ago before he passed. Jesus said the Antichrist would be the people who destroy the temple. The destruction was done by the Roman Empire. However, the battalion that performed the destruction was mainly comprised of Assyrians. I've heard that too. The biblical reference to the Antichrist as the Assyrian references, and then the author emphasizes the importance of the Middle East as being the beast's location. In Daniel's dream of four beasts, he could describe the first three: lion, Babylon; bear, Medo-Persian; leopard, Greece. But the fourth, however, John could describe this beast in Revelation as having body parts of a lion, bear, and leopard. This indicates it is comprised of the areas of Babylon, Medo-Persia, and Greece. The author points out that this metallic statue of Daniel 2 is destroyed all at once at Christ's second coming. When we look up the countries that make up this region, we find 10 all Islamic. The author follows the actions of the Antichrist described in Daniel 11 to show that he could obtain his titles King of Babylon, Pharaoh, King of Egypt, etc. That was a question. Let's see. The angel Gabriel named the second and third as Media, Persia, and Greece, talking about the beasts. In Daniel 7 and Daniel 2, the fourth kingdom was identified as one that would conquer the third, and it was Rome that did that. So of the four, two, Babylon and Persia, were Eastern in their origins, and two, Greece and Rome, were Western. Remember, Daniel said that the fifth kingdom would be the Messiah, so only four can precede it. All four have been historically identified. In Revelation 13, John was looking back through history from his vantage point in the fourth kingdom to see the previous three, beginning with the most recent, the leopard, and then working backward through the bear to the lion. So the bear being Media Persia and the lion being Babylon. At the end of the age, three specific characteristics of these kingdoms will be represented in the Antichrist and his kingdom: the speed of the leopard, the power of the bear, and the boastful roar of the lion. Saying that this represents the territory of the three former kingdoms is irrelevant because Rome occupied the territory of the three. But John used the word resembled to indicate similarity to the characteristics of the three representative animals, not the geography of the kingdoms. The personal pronouns he used confirm this. The Gentile kingdom in power when John wrote was Rome in its legs of iron form. At the end of the age, Rome will appear in its feet in its toes form. Please note that the feet and the toes appear at the bottom of both legs, so both the eastern leg and the western leg of Rome will be present. This is what makes the Islamization of Western Europe so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he concludes this and he says, I also believe that the references to the Assyrian are meant to be seen as the plural, the descendants of Asher, not singular as one Assyrian man. So I am not persuaded that the Antichrist has to be Assyrian national. I
Well,
would just, yeah, that's a lot there, but
yeah,
I
that,
think
that is. That's
so you have two Eastern nations or empires that represent this animal. Two in the east, two in the west. We
ooh,
know
you're
that
right.
Rome occupied everywhere from Britain all the way down to North Africa, and then as far east as Parthia, which is now modern day Persia. So Syria, regardless of how you cut it, Syria would have been in there,
Yeah.
whether under
Mm-hmm.
the eastern or the western leg under Rome or the eastern leg under Constantinople.
Yep.
So my thing is that it's perhaps I don't I mean I just cannot see him being the Islamic in any way, shape, or form. He's going to have some kind of tie back into the Jewish people in order for them to accept him, even if he has
Oh,
a
this is
quarter
crazy.
Jewish blood. You know, if he has some way where they can identifiably um, trace his roots back to some Jewish relative, I think they would probably even be willing to accept that. They would definitely accept that over simply somebody that's 100% Assyrian or no Syrian or Kurdish or something.
Yeah, yeah. Because even the Roman Empire, I was doing a deep dive, Ben Salman possibly, or somebody down there Saudi with Neom and the line and all. Ah, the good, he's back. But
I don't want to jinx it.
but yeah, you're right, because that whole Roman Empire went all the way down into the Elam, or yeah, down there into Saudi Arabia. So I mean, yeah. But I personally believe that the Antichrist is going to come up out of nowhere. He's going to be and that's going to be part of his allure. Is this guy's going to come out of nowhere, and the people around the world is going to be like, "Where'd this guy come from?"
Yeah,
Like
then
someone we're
Matt
not even
says,
talking about right now, kind of a scenario.
and that says, question isn't the whole Eastern world's armies is in Syria now? Yeah, so right now you have the Russians, the Iranians, and the Turks there, and you have Americans. We have
Yeah.
Americans there in the Middle East or in Syria right now. We have troops there in the north.
And yesterday, twice our Conoco gas oil things were attacked, and we hit them guys on the Syrian border and taken out some of their people. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Tonight, Baghdad was attacked too. That was kind of interesting. Our boys over there.
I heard that our embassy over there is surrounded.
Yeah.
Aaron, the question for Pete: Territory of Dan is the Golan Heights. That is disputed by Lebanon, Israel, and Syria. What is your opinion?
Yeah, because that's where they moved to. Dan, from the.
What's the question, though? Or what is my opinion?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, I don't dispute that. I mean, I don't dispute that that's the territory. Let me see.
Yeah. Dan's way up there.
Yeah. Golan Heights.
Yeah. Tribe of Dan's way up there. Yeah. Up towards Mount Hermon area. Because it moved. Dan moved from the coast there, I believe.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. So I was for a long time I was very much a proponent that the UFM, the Union for the Mediterranean, was going to play a key role in this last days, whatever. Because when you look at the map, if anybody wants to go to Wikipedia or Google or whatever, just go to Google, type in Union for the Mediterranean, and it was something that Nicolas Sarkozy, the French Prime Minister,
I
started back
remember.
in '95, and it looks just like the Roman Empire. I mean, look at all the nations that are
Oh
involved
wow.
in it. And it's a nation. It's a treaty that that Israel was party to, as well as all of these other Arab neighbors for a number of years before the Arab Spring kicked off. So they were all part of this, and it's still functioning today. It's just kind of in the background, but they focus on water, clean water, basic essentials for life and stuff. So
It's called
I am
the
not. I would be curious to see if that still plays a role in this somehow.
what's it called again?
Union for the Mediterranean. Let me see if I can pull it up
No, that's awesome.
without crashing my system.
Right, right. Oh, you're right. 43 member states from Europe and the Mediterranean basin. The 27 EU member states. And 16
Okay,
Mediterranean partner countries.
check this out.
That would be nuts, especially if that's like literally the entire area of the Roman Empire. That'd be nuts.
Let me see for those that are not able to look at it. Let's see.
Wow. Part of the Paris summit. Wow.
Yeah, look at that. So that's
Wow.
oh, sorry. Leave
No,
well
that's
enough alone, Pete. Yeah, so this is the Union for the Mediterranean. If you look at the countries in blue, that's I don't have this map up just yet, but you could see that there a lot of these would be NATO, there'd be the EU countries. Right now, Libya is kind of destabilized, and Syria is destabilized, and Beirut, or not Beirut, but Lebanon, and then. But I think with the given the right crisis, they could probably bring everybody in together under the system. So
and how crazy would that be if it's literally a revived Western and Eastern leg?
yeah,
Wow.
so
There's so much. Oh man.
there's so much to do.
So many Bible rabbit trails, so little time.
Absolutely, Coco.
When was it formed?
It's like '95 when it was.
Oh,
It was Sarkozy. That's why I say keep an eye on this guy, Louis Sarkozy. If nothing else, I could see him being a prime minister, a very popular prime minister. France. The G7 consists of 31 countries plus three. When you expand to when they expand to 10, I honestly don't think that. I think that the Beast Kingdom is going to be regions of the world that are governed, seven regions governed by 10 leaders, and then the 11th leader comes up, subdues three, and then he ends up taking control over the bulk of the um, the bulk of the group, and somehow in there he may have the territories of what used to be the United States with all of its military assets and things. But my opinion too, though, is that during the Gog and Magog war, the reason it's called Gog and Magog is because you're going to have people coming from, military aged Islamic males coming from everywhere. They're going to be coming out of Europe. They're going to be streaming out of Russia, out of Chechnya, out of the former Soviet satellite states of like Afghanistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan. I mean, you're going to have so many people marching
Yes.
against Israel. In my opinion, this would be at the end when they've subdued all their immediate enemies. They finally think they have peace. And then this is when this massive army begins to be called up online through social media, through whatever. They'll begin to rally everybody to take out Israel. And it may be at the destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque or the Dome of the Rock. Like if a stray missile hits those, or earthquake or something happens, crumbles that, then there would be a rallying cry for Muslims everywhere. So I honestly don't even think militant Islam is going to be a factor inside of the tribulation. I think it's going to be, you're going to have all the true born again Christians removed. So what you have left in Christendom is all the people that thought they were Christians. And then I think Gog Magog handles all of the militant Muslims, and they're pretty much wiped out there in the mountains in the north of Israel. And so then what you have left is this huge vacuums where there used to be a lot of power and authority. Now they're not. And this gives the Antichrist all the room in the world to shape or help shape this new kingdom that he has.
Yep. Yeah.
Without, and there may be pockets here and there, and it could be that by the red horse, there is enough resistance being put forth by other places that they don't want to join. He may have to
Mhm.
force them to join. So
Yeah, and I still think Ben Gavir's got some tricks up his sleeves with these feasts coming up with the temple.
yeah, yeah,
That could set off some major fireworks in a hot minute.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my tribe of Reuben? Man, I don't know. Hey, when I go through Revelation, especially when I get into the later chapters, I mean, there's just going to be a lot of stuff we don't know, and nobody knows. No, no, I don't care who you are. None of us are going to know how what exactly these demonic locusts are that come out, or how the first trumpet judgment is going to play out. We have theory, we all have theories on it, but honestly, I mean, nobody alive today is going to be able to say with 100% surety, oh yeah, Babylon is going to be here exactly. We don't know. Could the
And,
Antichrist
and,
come
and
from
you
the tribe of
mentioned it
Dan?
too, because with all these wars coming, borders are going to change. They're going to have to redraw the atlas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had a Mediterranean agreement from 2007 to 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, something. I've heard that name too, the Solana.
Think about it though. If the United States is out of the equation for whatever reason, I mean, Europe is gonna turn and try and bring the focus back to the center of world power back to themselves. They're not gonna want to share that with the United States anymore.
That's right.
You
That's right.
know? And I see the United States very much becoming large portions of it becoming like Mad Max world, where
Yes.
it's largely lawless and ungoverned. And
Yes.
you got to think
Agreed.
about this could be the side of the world that the Antichrist dumps all of his war power on,
That's right.
because we have more weapons here than any other nation on earth. We've got there's this would be the perfect haven for the lawless. Think about my book, the Apocalypse One Percenters. It really kind of focused on this idea that the outlaws today already don't operate inside of our system of governance. They operate outside of it. So if everything collapsed, they would be the ones kind of best situated to take advantage of that. So we have 10 different cartel families in Mexico. We have, I don't even know how many, like biker gangs,
Yeah.
criminal gangs, mafia, the Yakuza. I mean, all these different groups operating here already. It would not, to me, it would not take much effort for them to um, quickly establish like little, not fiefdoms, but little areas that they control. And then this is where a lot of the fighting, they don't want to go under anybody's system. They like things the way they are. And I don't know. It could be, this could be like the place where all the wars are fought. We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it. I
America's
think
not a
that
place I'd want to be. Yeah. Hmm.
Here it is. Let's see. Oh, sorry. Lynette Zunica. Yes, BRICS has developed a new currency and it doesn't involve the US. It will be Mad Max. Yeah.
Yeah.
They already have these central bank digital currencies. They've already done the test run on them. So I think at this point they're kind of just put on the shelf and they're waiting for the right time to implement them. But I think they've already gone through the stress test and all the different things that they could. Um, they're just going to wait for the right crisis to implement it. Same thing they did with the Patriot Act. They just shelved it after 95 and then waited for the right crisis to come along.
Yeah. Yeah. 2001. Here we go. Wasn't it?
What do you think? 30-minute silence in heaven. I heard it's proof that women get raptured after men do. I think it's because we're in such awe of our Messiah that we are speechless. I think that this is that silence of foreboding,
I do too. Like, this ain't good. Yeah.
because everywhere you see the scenes of heaven, the thing that stands out is there's always singing, there's always praising God, there's
That's
always
right. That's right.
um,
And it's silent.
and now it's silence, and it's just like that.
Where's that?
You're waiting for this other shoe to drop, and it's about to drop hard.
There was silence in heaven for about half an hour. Mm-mm-mm.
Yep, kind of agree with you there. Yeah, thank you guys. Thank the moderators for helping tonight, and for David for carrying the weight uh, for me tonight. Oh, here's a good question. Asset Ministries, do you think Gog is a spiritual prince over a territory area north of Israel? Do you think it is Russia? Yes. Well, we know that
It's like two questions.
we know that there are fallen angelic forces that govern territories, as Daniel 10 points out. The Prince of Persia, the Prince of Grecia. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility to understand that there's a spiritual entity that controls
I
what used
love
to
this
be
question.
ancient Gog or Magog. And Magog, I mean, Magog used to go from like Ukraine to China. I mean, it was massive.
Who was that? Asset Ministries.
Yeah.
Yeah, both. And I think Asset Ministries is probably where my mindset is. I don't know if you've done this or heard this, but if you read Amos 7 verse 1 in the Septuagint, it talks about the king of Gog, the king, which is a locust. And we know from Proverbs 30 verse 27 that locusts have no king. So
Yeah.
there's and I see where his spiritual part of it. And I hope I was right, Asset Ministries. But yeah, that's a deep one. That's a good one. But isn't Gog of Magog and what we've known it as is like Pharaoh or like as a leader or
It could be a satanically empowered leader. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. If we think, like J.B. Hickson is very big on the Luciferians that kind of run everything behind the scenes, and if that's true, and if it's true that Satan has a lineage of sorts that he can trace back, and he's got this guy in place, he may have multiple guys to take over
yeah,
in different parts of the world all at the same time, and it could be that this spiritual entity behind the present leaderships of Russia or Ukraine or pretty much the old Soviet Union. I mean, there's
yeah,
certainly something going to drive them to try and invade Israel and swarm Israel. But I think the Gog Magog thing is the swarming of that's very similar to locusts. So locusts, the plague in Egypt was the swarming of the locusts that ate everything, right? This time it's going to be a swarm of man coming from all corners, from north and south of Israel to swarm the land of Israel. But then they're going to be supernaturally destroyed there in the mountains of north of Israel, and I'm assuming to the south of Israel as well. So part of it is, I think, that they're being compared to locusts, just like these kingdoms were being compared to beasts, that they represent the same type of destruction. Of the mechanism of destruction is going to be by swarming. But I do think there's a spiritual entity over Magog, the land of Magog, the ancient land of Magog. And I do think that it's going to be an actual leader that comes out of that leads that group out. He may be some general. He may be, we don't know who he is yet. And he
Yeah.
could be a man that's possessed, a man that has, like, in my opinion, Adolf Hitler was possessed. He was possessed up until the very end, until
Mm-hmm.
there was no other way out. And then that spirit left him, and then he was just distraught, and he ended up shooting his, what's her name, Eva Braun, and then shooting himself or whatever. And
Yeah.
that's the theory, That's a whole nother rabbit hole if you go down. Like, yeah, he really lived out his life in, like, Argentina or somewhere.
That's
But
right. We watched too much
anyways,
Discovery Channel back in the day, I think. Yeah,
oh
no,
yeah, yeah. Well, guys, thank you for tonight. Thank you for putting up with my technological
Oh, there he is.
snafu.
There's the Amos 7-1. Sorry, I'm just now seeing it. Behold, a swarm of locusts coming from the east, and behold, one caterpillar, King Gog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that interesting.
Yes, I think Hitler was possessed, and then he was supernaturally empowered to whip his nation up into a frenzy and then basically take over most of Europe. And now, the minute that it was all lost, the spirit, this demon departs from him, and then he's just left there and distraught. He's left there realizing what a giant mess he's made of everything, and I think he takes his life. I don't think he lived. I don't think he fled to South America. I think some of his
No,
guys
no,
fled.
it's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah, some of his guys did escape to South America, but I
Yeah.
don't think he
Mm-hmm.
did.
And then the U.S. hired a bunch of them too, I thought, or something.
Yeah. Project, was it Operation Paperclip?
Yeah, or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, Cali girl. I'm glad that I think David, you recommended turn my video off.
Somebody did. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey man, you got any closing comments? Anything you want to say?
I just want to encourage everyone, because people are looking for this encouragement, and just, if anything, bringing us together to realize, like, because we're all going through some kind of a battle, whether it's financial or spiritual or emotional or physical. And Satan knows in these final moments, the only thing he can do to the believer is to discourage us and not have us looking at his imminent return. And Jesus.
Absolutely. Hey, and if you've got family members that are not saved, man, we need to. I don't know how we can capture that onto some kind of a prayer request. Maybe on Discord, we can do something on Discord, like a prayer request page. Sir Pierce Seville, and then I do want to go back. I might be able to do some limited, given my technological challenges here. Honestly, I think it's this time of night. I think it
I
was
do
at like
too. Look
1 o'clock.
at it. Since whoever quit doing their high speed, whatever, taking all your bandwidth, that's been good. Yeah.
I know it's probably the guy I work with upstairs. He's probably streaming Call of Duty or something. It's just killing my bandwidth.
You're taking all my bandwidth, dude.
Thank you, Isaiah 53. I see you there. Sorry, I didn't get to thank you earlier. Sat phone starting. Yeah. Hey guys, just we'll say a prayer here at the end for our loved ones that are
Oh,
not saved. But thank you guys for hanging out. I know I didn't know Tyler was going live tonight, but I think he goes live whenever he's got that umption to do it. So
yeah.
um, but
I saw yours up last night before I went to bed, and yeah.
yeah, well, usually Chooch. So Chooch is on Sunday nights. Barry Scarborough's back to Saturday mornings.
Saturdays, yeah.
I'm still doing Mondays, and then Tyler's kind of on when he's on. So it seems like for at least this short period of time, everything is right with the world. If I can put it that way. Like we're all doing what we're trying to do. We got to get Chad back on, watching on the wall 88.
Yeah, yeah.
Get him back on, and then it'll be like it was.
Old school days.
Thursday night is a dead night. Yeah. Hey, we can do Thursday nights. Discord where I see you, you see me. We get to hang out and talk. We were doing that before I left Kentucky last time, but we'd have about, I don't know, 20 people on or so.
Oh,
It
I
was a good
love
time.
that.
Hey, I want to give a shout out too to Rania and Steven, who I got to hang out with on Saturday night.
Oh,
So
cool.
I got to hang out with him here. Very, very cool people. And she invited me over for supper. Her and her husband and their kids were there for supper. And then there was two other couples that were there. And she told me, "Hey, we're gonna have fajitas. Is that okay with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know." But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, "Dude, I'm in Arkansas. Everywhere I've had fajitas outside of Texas, I've been incredibly disappointed. I'm just gonna eat them and just
Oh
pretend I
no.
love them. Pretend I love them." But I tell you, man, she had. I knew they were legit. Like I knew they were serious about their fajitas when they busted out like these homemade tortillas. I was like, "All right, you got me. You had me at homemade tortillas right there." I was just thinking, hey,
Oh, that is
hey,
awesome.
I don't care. You know what? The secret to good Mexican food anywhere out is the quality of the tortillas. If it tastes like the stuff you buy at Walmart, then yeah, it's not gonna be very good.
Forget
But
about it.
like you know the difference. If you've ever had a HEB, which is a grocery store in Texas, they make their own tortillas. If you ever had a HEB tortilla, you will never want any other kind of tortilla ever again.
Oh
I
no
mean, you
way.
would it changes you. It ruins you actually because nothing else kind of compares to it. So they had just as good tortillas last the other night, and then their fajitas were amazing. So most places outside of Texas, if you get fajitas, it's like they use the skirt, what they call it, skirt steak or plank steak, or like this really really hard thin steaks, and
Oh
it ends
no.
up being like fajita jerky. But they had this like amazing steak that they had for fajitas. So I was pretty blown away. I was like, "Oh, this is really good." I think I had like three, way more than I was supposed to be eating. Oh, well, hey, thanks, Dave, for coming on, and
No, thank you.
appreciate you being on, and thank you, moderators, for capturing Sir Pierce Seville for capturing all the questions tonight, and for everybody just participating and putting up with the I don't know. I don't even know what to call it, man. I'm gonna have to find a different time, folks. I'm gonna have to go either earlier or later. So, hey, let's
This
pray real
was
quick.
fun. This was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll close it out in a prayer, and give me 1 second. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for tonight. We thank you for the opportunity that we had to come together. We lift up to you all of our lost family members, lost friends, lost parents, lost children, anybody that we care about, Father. That we pray that the Spirit would move very strongly. Uh, in these last moments of these last days, that if there was anybody on the fence, that they might be drawn to you, Lord, and be open to receiving you. I just thank you, Father, for sending your Son to shed his blood on the cross for our sins, Lord, because without him we would all be doomed. Pray, Father, for the other watchmen that are out there that are doing their best to wake folks up and get the message out. The time is running out, Lord. I pray that you keep this enthusiasm going and keep this momentum going for us in these last moments, Lord. And we just thank you for everything you do for us. And it's your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Good night. God bless you. We'll see you Wednesday night if you're going to be on the Revelation study. I may change the time up a little bit. So
what chapter are you? 3?
What's that?
You in chapter 3 or 4? I forget now.
Oh, I'm starting chapter 4.
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. See you guys. Bye. All right, man.